Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you here today to talk about the future of marketing automation in business and specifically automation for content marketing. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Vassilena or Vasi for short, and also easier to pronounce for international audiences. I've been in marketing and specifically working on digital marketing strategies and content marketing production for the last 15 years. I help brands build meaningful relationships with their audiences, both attracting new customers and creating loyalty for existing users through content marketing. And obviously, in our ever more digitalized world, we're also working with clients to scale their content marketing production and promotion strategies to different digital channels. This is also where marketing automation comes in really handy in my work. What you can see here are my online properties where you can find me online and continue the conversation after this talk today. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Twitter, so feel free to follow me there and connect there. And you can also read more about my work and some of my thoughts on digital strategy and advice on content marketing on my personal website, volchanova.me. It's a bit hard to pronounce, but pretty interesting, I can guarantee. So whenever I'm working with clients and we're talking about the content marketing strategy, usually we talk about automating some of the content marketing tasks and doing a lot of work to get those benefits coming from automation. So in theory, the first question that a new customer would probably ask me is, hey, Vasi, like, why do I even need to think about automation when it comes to content marketing? After all, a lot of people feel that content marketing is a very creative space, and as such, there's no two content tasks that are alike. But that's not necessarily true. If you're already managing your brand's social media channels, you know that there's a lot of repetitive work happening when it comes to social media posting, drafting out content, planning that content out, and reusing that content in the future. But also when it comes to content creation, after all, we're most often working with some form of a template. We're not producing entirely new concepts day in and day out. We rely on what works already. And as such, we can automate and we should automate. But why should we automate? Well, first off, the very first thing that usually comes to mind is to save time. Yes, you'll be saving a lot of time with automation, and particularly saving that silly work time, the time that you usually have to dedicate to menial tasks, to stuff that doesn't necessarily require mastery from you as a marketer, but stuff that just needs to happen in order for your content marketing engine to keep running. But we can dive a bit deeper here as well, because once you start saving time, you can actually dedicate that time to more worthwhile tasks. And that means that with marketing automation, you'll be saving a lot of time that you can then dedicate to increase the quality of your content. Think of it in this way. If you don't need to spend 15 minutes today to post on social media channels, you can actually get that hour or hour and a half every week and dedicate that time to planning out your deep content strategy or doing topic research to find new ideas, new content topics that are going to resonate with your audience. So automation, by saving time, it also ensures higher quality. And finally, it helps a lot with onboarding new members of your content management and content production team, be it new marketing hires or freelancers you've just hired for a particular content production task. the more you can automate, and here I'm not talking just about delegating some tasks to an app or piece of software, but also creating those robust standard operating procedures that your content marketing team uses. As soon as you have these in place, you can onboard new people more quickly and make sure that they start earning their keep quicker and with the quality that you expect them to. So this is how all these three things come together. So I hope that by now I've given you like a very, very basic idea of why you need to automate, why you need to focus on marketing automation for content production. So let's dive into the how. Obviously, you're all here to learn something practical today, so let me give that to you. So this might be a weird question to pose, how to automate, because almost always when we think of automation, we think of some piece of code. We think of a software, an app, a tool, a macro that you can put down that automates part of your content process. But that's not the only thing. I'll talk about different apps and pieces of software you can use to automate your content production in a bit. But I first want to dedicate some time to talk about some other forms of automation, more like, let's call it soft automation, that you can use to save yourself some time and dedicate that time to more worthwhile tasks. The first one is not necessarily automating, but directing those tasks to a virtual assistant who can actually perform them for you. Think of these, like, again, menial but time-consuming tasks that you need to do. For example, you have a new piece of content on your blog and you want to promote that through other websites. Finding out those websites you want to reach out to who are a good fit. This can be a task easily relegated to a virtual assistant who can then find the websites, collect all the statistics you need in order to decide if this site is a good fit or not, and finding, let's say, the email address which you can write to in order to get a backlink or to get a social media share. So although this is not like full automation, you still have a person doing that task. It serves the same person. It's a purpose. It saves you time and lets you focus on those high impact content production tasks. And then the other thing that's very, very closely tied to virtual assistants, but also very important if you have a larger marketing team where you have like some junior marketing people who'll be performing part of your content production tasks. It's talking about different processes in your content marketing and creating checklists and detailed guides on how to perform these tasks in your content production plan. So think of it this way. If I get a junior marketing person now and tell them, hey, like, here's our new blog post, share it across all of our social media channels, I'm not entirely sure what's gonna come out of it. But if I give that same person a very detailed checklist saying, okay, like, share it to Twitter, make sure that you use at least 2 relevant hashtags to the topic of the blog post, make sure that you mention the people we actually mentioned in the blog post, you actually mention their Twitter handles so that they see the post and interact with it, and so on and so forth. You get the idea, I guess. This ensures that I'll be keeping that same high quality as if I am posting that tweet or that Facebook post myself, but again, saving that time and directing that time to more important tasks. So don't think just about what you can automate away with code and apps, but think about using other people to do the work for you and providing them with those checklists and detailed guides that are gonna let them perform these tasks with the necessary level of quality. We'll go through each of these in a bit more detail so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So Let's first focus on the apps and software, because I'm sure that this is where the most attention will be drawn today. Since there are a ton of different tasks related to content marketing production, and most of them are pretty custom, like you need to make sure that you have this process adapted to your own brand and to the content types that you yourself are producing. The best way to go is using custom automations. This can be done through tools like IFTTT and Zapier. These are two of the ones that I use most often, but essentially they work in the same way. So the way they both work is you create a sort of a recipe where you say, I have this one action that serves as a trigger. So let's say if I post something new to Instagram, as in the example here, then the tool performs a specific follow-up action for you without you having to, spend time to actually work this out. So in this case, it says, if I post something new on Instagram, then save that photo to Dropbox. For example, if I need to then send a folder with high quality pictures to my client that I'm managing social media for on Instagram, this will be a very easy task I can create with either IFTTT or Zapier. There are some differences between the tools that both of these allow you to use, but you'll have to dig around and find the one that works for you. And here it seems like what you can do is create this two-step automation, but it can actually look much more complex, as you can see here. So this is an actual screenshot from a task I've done myself in Zapier. It's for a client who does marketing events. And it says that once we have the event confirmed, so it gets moved to the column confirmed in our shared Trello board, then a bunch of things happens. So for example, when the card is moved, we create automatically a Google Drive folder where all the presentations are gonna go in. We create a scenario for the event, a rundown and agenda that's according to a template we're already using. We add specific members to the Trello card so they know they can already start working on the details around the event, and so on and so forth. So you can already see that this can get very complex very quickly. The other tool I wanted to quickly touch on when it comes to social media scheduling, that's usually the most easily automated marketing task and content task. The app I love to use is called CoSchedule for two specific reasons. One of them is that they have these social sharing templates that you can create for your brand and use in the future. So essentially, if you're posting content on your own website, what CoSchedule says is as soon as a new piece of content gets posted on my blog, then I have these series of social media posts that are gonna go out. So for example, on the same day, I'm going to post that I have a new blog post on Twitter and on Instagram. Then a day later, I'm going to post on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter again, etc., etc. So it creates this list of shares that goes out as soon as you publish a new piece of content. And the other really cool feature CoSchedule has is what they call requeue. So essentially, think of it in this way. You have this bucket of social media posts you've shared in the past and you want to reshare again. Let's say you have an evergreen piece on your blog that you want to promote again every couple of months. As soon as CoSchedule sees a gap in your content posting schedule, so they see that you don't have anything to post on LinkedIn on this particular day, they take one post out of this bucket and stick it in there. So you have your posting schedule full, and you're also getting content out of your backlog and in front of people's eyes at the same time without losing a beat. And then obviously, like the one thing that's gonna take me probably a separate talk on itself is email marketing automation. My personal favorite is Sendinblue. There are a ton of email tools that you can use to create very complex workflows where you can send people additional content depending on what they've done on your website or how they've interacted with past emails. So for example, if you have a customer who's just signed up with you, you create an onboarding schedule. If they've been signed up for a while, but they haven't returned to your app for the past 2 weeks, let's say, you can send them a short nudge telling them what else they can do in your app and how they can interact with it. So this is a great way to create this ongoing relationship with existing customers. Email is by far the best channel to do that, and automation and email go hand in hand. I'm sure that some of the other speakers of the event have spoken to you a lot about automation already. I mentioned that there are 2 other types of automation that you can use, and this is creating standard procedures and what I'll be talking about in a sec. But first, let's focus here on those standard procedures, the content production and sharing processes in your company. So the easiest thing you can do is create robust checklists that tell you what needs to happen at each step of the process of creating your next piece of content. So I really love Trello as a project management tool for for content marketing production. And the best thing about Trello is that you can create a template out of your standard process and use that for each new piece of important content you'll be producing down the line. So for example, you can have like a card template that's for new blog posts, and you have like, first off, you need to create the blog post outline, then your SEO person needs to define the keywords for that, then the designer needs to create additional graphics, while at the same time, the content writer is actually writing the first draft. This needs to go to management for a review, etc., etc. And the cool thing with Trello is that you can create these checklists and you can have separate dates and separate members who are in charge of each separate task in this checklist automatically. So you can have that for each piece of important content you are producing. The more detailed you go here, the easier it will be to automate that process and for it to go smoothly without you taking part in it day in and day out. And finally, related to that one is having detailed manuals and guidelines on each of these tasks. So again, one of the things that I love to do is create short video walkthroughs for each of the standard tasks we're using. This is an example of, I was describing how we create an event description for this event management company I'm working with. And once you record that, my go-to tool for that is called Loom. Once you record that video in Loom, you can send it to a new copywriter or another person on the team who'll be looking at this event and detailing it out. Or you can obviously write that down in like Google Docs. Again, my go-to, you can use something different, but having this detailed list and explaining like you need to click here, then you need to look into that, and then you need to select a person or like whatever it is. This is obviously in Cyrillic, so you're probably not able to read that and you don't really need to. Like the idea here is that the more detailed you go in these guides and in these procedures, the easier it will be for you to automate the whole process. So this was just a very short intro. I hope you liked that. And you can find the slides and anything I've talked about, as well as a way for you to subscribe to my newsletter where I share more about content on my website, valchanova.me/slides. I hope you like this. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope we'll be able to talk more in the future. Bye.